Listen up. I'm about to spill a secret that changes everything. God showed me something for you today that can fix what's been slipping away your whole life. Don't skip this, you need to hear it. I want you to pay attention to something. Today is the third time you almost lost it. The offer, the yes, the door, and at the very last second, it slid to the left by 1 inch. It's not bad luck that works in a certain way, along with a name which I will give it in a moment. Picked. I'm sure that phrase didn't land like it usually does. It's not a mistake. It was meant to find you. This is the part that almost no one says out loud. You're not being down because the race wasn't about speed. You've been half a second late. There's a message that your mind has been sending without your knowledge. Every time a good thing was about to happen, the real reason it turned away was that signal. You will understand 3 things by the end of this message. You are going to understand why the timing is always a few inches off. You might understand for the first time why that pain in your chest when you see else get what you want is not envy. Honor is what it is. You will leave with something that you can use right now, not next year, to change what happens the next time a door closes nearby. This is a piece of what's under this. There are 2 frequencies in the brain that make a bigger difference than skill or hard work ever could. Who looks for a chance and who lets it go? As you get older, one of them slowly goes out. It used to light up when you were a child. That dimming is what made you lose sight of opportunities you used to see with ease. The other one goes up when you're stressed and your doctor hasn't really told you what it does. It does more than just stress you out. It blocks the very path that good things use to reach you. Even if they are right there in front of you, that's not the whole mechanism yet. Yes, that is just one piece. I want you to feel it land before I give you the rest. Now is the right time for this to happen. Not 6 months from now. This week, the season that you're in changed, not figuratively, but structurally. Ones like that don't stay open. In addition, they don't make a lot of noise. A lot of people miss them. Just like they missed all the doors before them. This wasn't something you found by accident. If you're still here, say something about the word that was chosen before you listen to more. In other words, what I'm about to show you has a place to land, because what comes next is the exact order, not why it's happening. Everything I have covered across this channel is now in one place. The prayers, the teachings, the daily blessings, it is all inside the Daily Miracle Manual. Link in the description. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission grows into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. But more than your support, we want your presence. When you head to our community through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you aren't just visiting a site. You are entering a community of like-minded believers. This is a sanctuary where you can post your prayer requests, lift up the burdens of others, and engage in daily discussions with a family that speaks the language of faith. Whether you are joining one of our membership tiers for deeper study, sowing a seed of faith, or simply joining our daily morning prayers, you are helping us build a global altar of worship. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through a community that stands together. Each gift you give acts as living water for those in our community seeking healing and hope. Give, snorts, and it will be given to you, is the promise that sustains our shared mission. I invite you now to step out of the shadows and into this circle of prayer. Come with purpose. Join the conversation and plant your seed in fertile ground. Let's open the heavens together. Release your seed today. Join our community and see what God brings back into your life. A list of reasons why your turn kept getting pushed back and what will change from today on. Chosen one, let me tell you what I already know about you. You check your account, your inbox, and your message thread before you tell me anything. Then you quickly close it before your own hope can rise. There were times when you stood in a normal room with one hand on a door and knew the answer before anyone else did. Not by chance and not because of their personality either, like you. Many other people going through the same season as you have seen this pattern play out over and over again. And I don't want to skirt around it like most messages like this do. I want to call it out straight. Things that have been happening to you are not because you are not trying hard enough. It comes from two frequencies in your mind that haven't been working together properly for a long time. If you put them back in the right order, you'll stop being late to your own chances. Take a moment to think about that. Not careless, not dull, not unworthy, or out of order. A very old teaching says that you need to be like a child again before you can really receive anything. Your spirit knows this even if your mind hasn't caught on yet. A child who is still learning to walk toward a door is not kept from it by the father. He waits for it to be safe to walk again. No, that is not a punishment. That's the order today. I'm not going to ask you to believe anything. Please pay attention, as this is the way the Holy Spirit usually starts working in people long before they are told what to do or are asked to do anything. Hold on to this part through everything that comes next. You've done enough already. You have already paid for all the hard work, prayer, and patience this season asked of you. What has been missing is always more work. It was the last piece. That piece has nothing to do with how hard you've worked. It hurts to see someone else get something that you thought should have been yours. We named it before. I'm not going to change the name to something safer. I'm going to keep calling it what it really is. It's not envy with envy. Someone wants what someone else has. This is being recognized, and recognition only works for things that were already given to you. Your life just changed because of a season window. Before this message ends, I will show you why that is structural and not emotional. But first, you need the way to do it. Because a change in the season doesn't mean anything to a mind that is still picking up on the wrong frequency and in the wrong order. Which is what yours has been. On the outside, these people don't look anything alike. A nurse in one state, a contractor in another, and a mother who hasn't slept a full night in years, have all shown this shape. Different lives, but the same signature. They practice the win over and over again in their minds. Then, just as the real moment starts, something inside them shows up a half-breath too late. You've also done that. Listen to the conversation you wished you had started again. Thought about the yes before you even asked. That practice was never a waste of time. It was your spirit getting ready to walk through a doorway that your body wasn't quite ready for yet. The whole point of what comes next is to bridge the gap between practice and arrival. You do not have to change into a different person to become who you are after this. There must be two frequencies for them to stop fighting with each other. That's not as big or far away as you think. And by the end of this message, you'll know exactly where it lives inside you. One more thing before we go on, because I don't want you to bring an old shame into a lesson that is meant to get rid of it. What you're going through doesn't make you weaker, less loyal, or less chosen than other people who seem to get everything they want without having to work for it. It makes you someone whose two frequencies haven't been shown how to work together yet. All that stands between you and everything you've been praying to catch up to is that one thing. This message is sent to you tonight instead of tomorrow for a reason, and it has nothing to do with luck. It has everything to do with truly your own timing. You are not listening in on a message that is supposed to be for someone else. You are the people I want to talk to for the next few minutes. That's something I want you to really take in. Not just brush off like most true things do on a normal night. It's never been clear what it means to walk in the Spirit. It meant taking one honest step at a time, even during a time you couldn't quite explain yet. Either way, you've been doing that, even if you didn't call it that. That's why this message got to the part of you that was finally ready to hear the rest of it. As promised, here is the first piece with a clear name. You remember a time when you could still feel a good thing coming from 3 streets away even though you haven't thought about it in years. A knock before the knock. A name that was going through your mind right before the phone rang and showed that name on the screen. That wasn't your work. It just showed up because you were still set up to notice it early. The complete guide, every daily prayer, every spiritual tool, everything I've put together to help you grow your faith is down in the description. It's called the Daily Miracle Manual. Now stay right here with me, because as this awakening grows inside, you know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus's plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself. Jesus says this is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. Now look at what it was like last month. Even though the chance was right in front of you and close enough to touch, you didn't see it until it turned to leave. Not because you weren't paying attention. Something you used to notice early on has stopped. And it stopped so slowly that you missed the moment it happened. It's what you call getting old. You've said that you're too busy to pay attention, that you're losing your edge, or that you just have too much on your mind to notice things the way you used to. I want to tell you the truth. All of those explanations don't match up with what really happened. I mean that very carefully. I'm not trying to argue with you. This is the mechanism that's under it. I want to take my time because this part changes everything else. The brain has a frequency. It's called gamma and runs at full strength when a child is young. It's how often you notice something without trying. How often you're amazed, and how often you see a possibility before your conscious mind has even finished making the thought. That frequency is used by a child almost all the time. When an adult stands 3 feet away, they don't see a stray dog, a strange cloud, or a coin on the sidewalk, but a child does. It's not the ability to pay attention. It's frequency. And around the age when most of us stopped being able to remember things clearly, frequency starts to drop. This isn't because of getting older, but because of all the things that getting older makes you do. I've sat with enough people who carry this weight that I can see that the shape is almost the same from one life, snorts, to the next. I finally gave it a name. I don't say that because someone gave me the phrase. I say it because that's exactly how the pattern looks to me as I watch it happen over and over again. This is what I call the decline effect. The frequency that used to make noticing easy gets dulled when you strive, and it gets dulled in a straight line. The more adults are taught to push instead of see, the worse they get. Neuroscientist Dr. Robert Lake has been studying this frequency for 34 years and has found this pattern in research linked to MIT, Princeton, Harvard, and other top research universities. The things he writes are not a diagnosis. He has seen the shape over and over again enough times that he could finally put words to it. I'm not sure which week that frequency started to fade in you. No one really can. And anyone who says they can is lying and giving you information they don't have. What I'm sure I can tell you is how what happened turned out. It wasn't a surprise. You weren't to blame. And it's not even close to being as permanent as it has felt for however many years you've been carrying it. This is the part that almost no one tells you gently. You never lost who you are. When the light dimmed, it was a tone being turned down on a frequency that is still fully intact below, waiting in the same way that a pilot light behind a stove that hasn't been lit in a while. There is still a child in you somewhere keeping an eye on things. They kept watch the whole year in the same way. You thought they were gone for good. They didn't go in a house that got busier and louder every year. They just learned to wait quietly for someone to finally notice that they hadn't left. This means you felt bad about the years you say you should have caught more, built more, or noticed more. They never had you fail. You weren't lazy. You were turned down. A light that is dimmed is not broken. And it has never needed to be changed. It only needed to be turned around. You can do this tonight. And it won't cost you anything and doesn't have anything to do with any product. Choose one ordinary memory from before you turned 8. Not anything exciting. The sound of a screen door creaking. What something baking on a Sunday afternoon smells like. The way the sun used to shine on a certain carpet in a certain room. Take a slow breath in and out. And pay attention to what happens in your chest. There is no nostalgia in that flicker you just felt. That is the frequency itself, which is still fully alive despite everything else you've done to it since then. Something in you already knows that this message is not a coincidence. If you felt even a little of that right now, mark the word ready so you don't miss this chance like other people did. Take one more deep breath there before we move on. When most people scroll past this kind of message, they never stopped long enough to feel what I just said. Seeing that you did it already tells you something about which side you are on. Write the word here if you're still with me. That means what comes next will land somewhere real for you. There's a reason I'm telling you this now instead of at the end like most messages like this do. Some of you may have felt that flicker in your chest just now. If so, read on. Really, it's okay if you didn't feel anything yet. You shouldn't read this next piece today. Also, I don't mean to judge you at all. What I just told you about the frequency, the dimming and the way it can be gently woken up is not just something you can get to by remembering things or being still. Thanks to the sound engineering research that Dr. Lake did. There is a 7-minute audio file that was made to bring back that exact frequency. It also works with the system we just went over, not against it. That is only half of what you need to know. I'm going to be honest and say it's only half because the second half is the part that almost no one gets right. There is another frequency that goes up when there is stress and it shuts down a separate thing that doesn't open again. When the first frequency comes back online, one brings out the child in you. When that child wakes up again, the other one opens the real channel that lets all good things reach you. That's the only way they work, for a reason you will fully understand before this message ends. Restoration comes first, then reception. What you need is in the description below this message and in the comment that has been pinned. That way you won't have to look for anything. Let's go back to where we were, because the heavier, deeper half of this mechanism is still waiting. I need to tell you the truth about something before we go on. It's not enough to just name the first frequency. It's the half that helped you understand your childhood better. The half that tells us why your adult life kept getting worse little by little is still to come. It will be harder to hear because it points to a place where most people don't think to look. Think about a certain morning a few months from now. There's nothing exciting about the date itself. Snorts, you open your eyes before the alarm goes off. Before you have time to think about a single worry. There's already less weight in your chest than you remember having in years. You lie there for a while. There is no longer the familiar knot that sits under your ribs when you wake up. A list of everything you need to get through the day is not the first thing that comes to mind. You stopped asking yourself this kind of question about what today might hold for you. When you were 8 years old. You walk by a window every morning and have never looked up until you see a bird outside it. You notice it the same way you used to before you had to work at it. That's not luck. No changes were made to the original sentence, as it is already perfect. Finally, the decline effect is going the other way, slowly climbing back toward the child it used to belong to. You who is lying there and you who is reading this right now are not far apart. It was also never time. Someone turned down this frequency a long time ago and no one has ever shown them how to turn it back up. That gap is getting smaller faster than you think. Right now, some of you are sitting there thinking that this sounds both lovely and like the kind of thing that would never happen in real life. For that reason, I don't want to talk past that thought. That thought is not resistance. This is intelligence at work. This is what I would say to that smart person. This is not just one study from a small lab that can't be found anywhere else years apart. Two completely different lines of brainwave research. At two different institutions came to the same conclusion, but they did so in two different ways. It's not often that people agree on something, which is why I'm willing to stake this whole message on it. This frequency shift has been seen in a woman who works nights at a hospital, a man who runs a small landscaping crew, and a 60-year-old widow who hadn't been interested in anything for 10 years. There were different lives, but the signature was the same. When the sequence was finally put back in the right order. This doesn't promise that a certain day or amount of money will show up in your account. If someone tells you that they are not telling you the truth, but I'd rather lose your trust for a moment than earn it with something I can't stand over. The pattern is something I can stand behind. The second half of that pattern, the heavier half that almost no one gets right, is where we are going next. As some of you thought about that morning, you may have noticed something else. Wonder wasn't the only thing that came back to the scene. You felt something loose in your chest the whole time, which doesn't happen very often when you think about your future these days. Remember that little thing. It's not as important as it looks right now. And now we're going to find out why. Some form of this pattern has been present in more than one area of your life. Not just the big obvious misses like the friendship that ended too soon or the idea you almost pitched but saw someone else do it instead. All of those things failed together. In every room of your life, they were the same signal that didn't work right, but in the wrong order. I told you we would get to this part. So, let's not make it the lighter half. You hear yourself say no before you even finish making up your mind when someone offers to help you. You almost instinctively turn down a compliment and give it right back. For as long as you can remember, you've wanted more. And somewhere along the way, you've quietly turned down 100 small visits like that without even realizing it. This is the third time this month. Don't forget that the offer moved to the left by 1 in at the very end. That's not because the world is unfair to you. This second mechanism is doing the same thing it has been doing for years. That's what you call freedom. Some of you have said it's because they are humble, careful, or just don't want to owe anyone anything. It's not any of those things. Also, I want to make it clear that it was never a weakness of character. It's a reflex. And reflexes are built in. Since you didn't pick them, you can also remove them. These are the parts of the mechanism. Survival mode for adults. Researchers call the low frequency of money, worry, vigilance, and scarcity thinking beta. This frequency keeps the brain running almost all the time. Beta can help you protect yourself. Receiving something needs a totally different frequency alpha. So it's not very useful for that. How often someone is in an open, trusting, unguarded state when beta levels stay high for years at a time. Alpha is almost completely blocked. And when alpha stops talking, the channel that lets good things happen to you, the one that lets a chance come along and stay instead of slipping away, shuts down, not figuratively, but structurally. This is what I call the stress signal. And as soon as you name it, you'll feel it when it goes off. A very old teaching says that we should receive things the way a child does without thinking about whether they have earned them or not. In the original language, the word for child is pad-ion, which means a very young child who hasn't learned how to ask for something before accepting it. That's exactly the state that this second frequency is meant to bring you back to. Dr. Stephen Newton, a former neuroscientist at Stanford who went against the grain to publish this research, has tracked this exact closing of the reception channel through work at Stanford, Boston University, and other research institutions. What he found is not a promise. They are patterns that were reported by the people who did the work. And I want to be honest. I'm just reporting what other people have said, not something I measured myself. This is why the timing was always just a bit off. Not because the door wouldn't open. The door opened many times. It's because the channel that was supposed to receive whatever came through, it was closed the whole time, filled with stress instead of trust. A channel problem could never be fixed. No matter how hard you tried to get to the door, it's never been hard to pray during this time. Some of you have quietly wondered if the way you were asking wasn't good enough and if you needed to ask more clearly, louder, or longer. You didn't need to pray louder. You needed a channel that could hold the answer once it came in. And that's not the same kind of repair you've been trying. It was never true that bad things never happened to you. Things happened when they came. You were just running a frequency that couldn't hold on to them. If you want the full guide with every prayer and lesson I've compiled for this community, check the description for the Daily Miracle Manual. You are about to enter your divine future. But remember, this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will use to reach their own miracle. Archangel Michael is inviting you to visit community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. By joining our like-minded community, you are no longer praying in isolation. You are adding your voice to a global sanctuary where we discuss the Word daily and stand in the gap for one another. This is not poetry. When Jesus says "Gave in heaven will open over you" on this platform, every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and a hedge of safety for your family. Now is your time. Step into our community prayer wall. Share your heart, and as you give, watch God multiply what you let go of. Let's finish this journey together. Visit our community now. Join the family and see your heavens open. Not a life with few things, a life full of visitors that you were carefully made to avoid one small turndown at a time. You're not someone who can't receive. You're someone who has never been shown how the channel works. There is a difference between a door that doesn't exist and one that has never been opened. You have been standing beside the ladder for a very long time. I can think of a man who I'll just call the provider because that's all he had done for a living. He worked 2 jobs most years and gave all of his extra money to his kids before it went to him. In case you had asked, he would have said that he was fine and didn't need anything for himself. Snorts. Then a former client got in touch about a business deal that would have doubled his income in a year. About 4 seconds went by before he said no. That's how long it took him to think about what a yes might look like. Not because the offer was bad, but because whenever something came along that was just for him, something inside him shut down. Afterward, he told me it didn't feel like fear. I felt like I had to do it. The same thing that made him turn down a compliment or turn down a free meal. When he finally figured out what that reflex was, he gave a simple explanation. It was never because he didn't deserve it. It was because he had never learned how to hold out his hand long enough to take it. If someone offers you something, here's what you can do. Any amount of help, praise, a seat, or kindness is welcome. Don't make it better. Do not turn it away. Say just one word. Yes. Then pay attention to where your body tries to take back that word. The mechanism we've been talking about all along is that resistance you just found. Some of you have already done a lot to try to fix this on your own. A book that said it could change the way you think in 30 days. Meditation and writing in a journal. Every time you tried, it failed. But that wasn't because of something wrong with you. They all worked. Every single one of those tools was made to work only on one of these 2 frequencies, usually the slower, quieter one. This was done by building up patience and discipline from the inside. They never had their sights set on the 2nd frequency, the one that was running in the background. And it was that 2nd frequency that kept the first tool from ever finishing its job. I've seen this pattern in every single person who has walked this season. The tool was always right. No matter what their story looked like on the surface, it was just outnumbered doing the work of one frequency while another one undid it quietly from below. There is one more piece I haven't told you about yet, and it's the one that's hidden in this title. So, it belongs to you. Why now? What makes this moment different from all the others? You almost caught something but lost it again. Don't think that a season window is just a belief or something you made up. It is built up in the same way that a tide is structural and not emotional. Both of the frequencies we named don't just stay in your body. They go through cycles of getting tighter and less tight over the course of weeks and months. And there are times when both of them loosen up almost at the same time. That's when an outside chance and an inside readiness finally come together. Most of the times you've missed something. It wasn't because you were a bad person. They happened at the wrong times. There was a real chance that came up while your two frequencies were loosening up on different weeks instead of the same one. That's why it felt like it was only an inch away most of the time instead of a mile away. It was only an inch away. You had two clocks inside you, but they were still not set to the same beat. An old teaching talks about a due season. This is the time when things that were quietly planted a long time ago are finally ready to be brought together in one movement instead of being spread out over years like they have been for you. Once the frequencies are back to where they should be, the two internal clocks will stop moving apart and start moving together. So that's the main reason why this moment in your life is different from the ones that came before it. Let's take a moment to slow down before we go any further. Take one deep breath out. Not many people let themselves take in as much in a week as you have in the last few minutes. Also, there's no need to hurry to finish this message. There are some of you who are thinking something other than doubt right now. Your mind is telling you that everything sounds great and is most likely meant for someone a little more prepared than you. That thought is one of the oldest tricks that either frequency plays on a mind that is tired. It wasn't made for people who are ready. It was made for people who are honest enough to say they are not. The way a kid takes a gift without first checking to see if they deserve it. And I'll be honest with you back, just like I've tried to be throughout this whole message. I can't tell you exactly which week things change for you. If someone promises you that exact week, they are making a promise that no one can keep. What I can say for sure is that these two frequencies have to come back online in a certain order. I have seen that order work over and over again. Now picture being given something good. You didn't expect to hear that name, that number, or that door. Look at the most odd part of this picture. You can't say no to it with anything in you. Keep your hands open. Sometimes when something good gets close, your chest gets tight. But not this time. The gap between the version of you that has spent a lifetime trying to get what you want and the version that just gets it whipped without any trouble was never about trying hard or deserving it. One channel was closed a long time ago and no one has ever shown how to open it. It will only take a minute to do something with each other. Right now, you should be able to sit up a little straighter than you. Now, think of a normal quiet room where a child is still sitting where you left them. They are waiting, being patient, and not mad at you for the wait. Someone is reaching out their hand to you in that room. For the first time, you didn't reach for it. Instead, you let it be put in your hands. You're no longer reaching for something outside of yourself. Someone is giving you something that was always addressed to you by name and all they asked you to do was take it. Allow your hand to open up right where you are sitting. Put one in of weight on your shoulders. Check to see if your breath changes by itself. Please leave a comment with the word open right now if you are still here. What you just did for 1 minute is exactly what the rest of this message will help you do every day after this one. Now that you know all of this, why does it not change anything? Now you can see the mechanism very well. No changes will be made to your chest tomorrow morning. If nothing else changes, it will probably do the same thing it did today. It was never clear to you what the answer was. It was never there. What did you learn that you didn't know at the beginning of this message? You stopped hearing two frequencies and they stopped in a certain order. The first one made you feel less like a child. The person who used to always notice things right away. That's the decline effect, which is still slowly going away in the background of every morning after the second one. The channel that lets good things land was shut down. The second one can't be fixed, while the first one is still out in the dark. If you say its name out loud, you can feel it firing in your chest right now. This stress signal is already a little less strong just by saying the name of it out loud. Again, the structure that holds both of these frequencies together and restores them one after the other in their correct order has a name. I call the way it looks child mind reversal. This is what it gives you. First act like a child again. Then be shown how to receive in the way that child always did without having to argue or prove anything first. The identity that lies beneath all of this is simple. You are the chosen one. A child of light who lost the frequency that let it be seen and received but never lost anything permanent. I'm not going to give you that title at this point. Both of these mechanisms have shown us everything we need to know. You are now fully aware of what is true. However, understanding by itself has never been able to open a single door for anyone. Knowing something without fixing it, it is just a heavier form of waiting. And you've been waiting long enough of times already. It's not hard to figure out what comes next. It's the real mechanism. Finally, in front of you that makes what you know into something your body can feel moving. You once had a child inside you who was fully lit and open to both frequencies at the same time. That child noticed everything early and held on to everything that came in. Those two frequencies didn't stop at the same time. One dimmed first and the other shut off afterward. Because of that order, anything that touched just one of them could only ever get back half of what was taken because someone remembered you before you remembered yourself. What comes next is possible. I already told you that two names were sitting below this message waiting for their order to make sense. Now is the time for that. You are not just left to sit with the first frequency, the one that slowly fades away after each year of striving. There is already something that was made to turn off that dimming. The 7-minute song is called the Genius Song. It works with the frequency we named, not against it. The way it works is the same binaural activation of the frequency we talked about earlier. For childhood just stored sound instead of memory. It was built by Dr. Lake using the same MIT, Princeton, and Harvard research that we already talked about. Children used to notice everything before anyone told them to. This gives them back their childhood. I remember an ex-teacher who hadn't been genuinely interested in anything for almost 10 years. After a few weeks, her daughter told her mother that she had started asking strange happy questions at the dinner table again. Just like she did before she stopped. That her daughter was the first to notice the change shows how quietly this kind of return tends to come. And even after the first wave does exactly what it was made to do, almost no one will tell you the truth. The child wakes up. But waking up is not the same as getting something and holding on to it. There is a second gate that has been closed the whole time by anything that the first frequency was meant to reach. The only reason there is a second piece is because of that gap. Imagine a child standing in a courtyard wide awake while the drawbridge across from them stays up. One wave heals the child. That bridge is lowered by the other person so that the reception channel can finally open. It was taught in the past that you had to become like a child first and then you would get what was promised. Let me know where in your chest that hit you right now by commenting the word receive. Before we go any further, as of now, the child inside you is awake. Here is the last part of the sequence. Nothing is fixed by the second wave. It lets the first one reach places it couldn't on its own. The real channel that lets good things come in and stay. Not just move to the left by an inch. The wealth signal is the name of this second part. A 5-minute audio file and a 9-word script. A method that is so old that the story of where it came from has been passed down for more than 3,000 years. I'll just call it an old method instead of putting it in a specific tradition. We already called this stress hum. This frequency work lowers it and lets the receiving frequency rise back into place. The frequency at which an offer can land instead of being sent away before you can even notice it. This part of the work was done by a researcher named Dr. Stephen Newton. The person who went against the rules to release this research had ties to Stanford, Boston University, and other research centers. What was always meant to reach UConn now, that's why he built it. As soon as the channel is open, an offer is usually met with a yes instead of a flinch. A kindness that is received instead of turned away. The response that this whole teaching was always pointing in a quiet way toward. Some of you are still asking in the background why it takes 2 things instead of 1. You already know the answer. It was the first thing I gave you. 2 frequencies go away in a certain order. For the second time, an open hand is stuck to a mind that can't see the gap. The first one leaves the child alone at a door that won't open. Both in the right order is why either one has quietly let you down before. Beginning something new takes a lot of work. And the risk was never worth the few minutes a day this takes. The real risk has always been the years that have passed without either frequency being in place. Snorts and music, I will show you how to get rid of that risk right now. Now, here's the way this whole message has been leading you. Completely restoring both waves at the same time and in the right order is not just one choice. This whole lesson has been leading to that point from the very beginning. The whole shape of what child mind reversal has always been talking about one sequence. Both waves are done. The wait is over when the child wakes up. The child wakes up and the TV starts to show. The noticing starts up again. When the child wakes up, the receiving can finally start. Not one without the other, but both at the same time. That's how it was always meant to work. For some of you, the genius song is the real place where this journey began. Fixing things first. The doorway that everyone has to go through before anything else can happen. It's not a lesser path. It's just the start of the one path. Some people never really went to sleep because they still had a child inside them. This could be the only piece that's missing for you. If that's the case, from the very first word of this message, everything has been pointing to that door sitting right next to the other one, like 2 waves working together instead of on top of each other. 2 things go with both waves and take you further than the sounds alone. There is a genius child worth 19 that comes with the genius song. It was made to help the next generation start to change for the better early on. There are 20 success stories worth 97 that come with the wealth signal. Proof that this pattern shows up in many different lives. All of this is worth a total of 49 along with the 2 waves. Instead of being sold separately, you are not asked to take any risks by yourself in any of this. You have 90 days to just listen on every path. There are no conditions. And if you decide it's not for you, you get all of your money back plus any bonuses. The people who made it say that close to 38,000 people have already walked this sequence. Not even 5 out of every 100 people ever asked for that refund. You won't find anything hard here. There is no new skill to learn. Just listen. You'll get 12 minutes a day sent right to your email. Not shipping and not recurring. That's like a weekend away. A course on how to change your mindset that lasts for many weeks. A series of paid coaching sessions or a meditation app that is updated every month. 12 minutes isn't quite the same as all of those things. Remember that morning when we stood inside together and someone offered you something good. You didn't do anything to turn it down. Both frequencies stay the same every day. Is a day that morning gets farther away. It's not a threat. It's just the cost of not opening something. The content below. This message is not spread out in different parts of the internet. All of the bonus audios, the full guarantee and the original audios are in one place right below where you are listening. Now, let's take a moment to breathe together before you decide what to do. Put one hand on your chest. Which sentence sounds more true? It's been a long time since the child inside me woke up or the kid inside me is already awake. But I haven't been taught how to receive. Your spirit already knows. It could be both, too. You can find what you need right below this message, ready for any door your spirit sees. You won't have to look for the paths because they are right below where you are listening in the pinned comment. If your spirit knows which one is the right one for you, go through the door that calls your name. One more thing, please be quiet. There is a boosted version of the restoration wave called the youthful brain. For people whose path calls them to go further, this frequency goes even deeper than the first one. If you want that channel to open faster, there is a version of the reception work called Wealth Signal Accelerator that you can use. You won't meet either of them until you walk through the door. It had never happened before. The original sequence, just as it was talked about tonight, is already complete on its own. These two are only for a select few whose path really does require them to go deeper. Only if your spirit tells you that's true. You've been with me through the whole message up to this point. That's important for you to notice because most people who are scrolling tonight will never get this far. The only thing left is the part 1 purposely saved for last. In this way, anything holy is saved for the end and not used up too quickly. Feel where you are sitting right now before I say it. Somewhere inside you knew this message was different from the moment that phrase first caught your attention. No matter the room or the time. In that sense, you were right. And it's about to get a full name. You don't need to get anything ready for what comes next. There's no need to be ready in the way that most people think you should be ready. If you want to receive what has always been true about you, go ahead. And the only thing you brought with you tonight is willingness just by staying this long. Let us sit with something true for a moment without asking it for anything before we end. You never really lost the child inside you. Not for a single day in any of the years you thought you had lost them. They sat still through every heavy sigh of grief, every turned down offer, and every pain in your chest that you thought was envy, but was really recognition. They waited patiently the whole time like something eternal always does until the right time comes along. Somehow out of all the things that were trying to get your attention tonight, this message was the one that stuck out for a very long time. This sequence has been pulling at your heartstrings. You couldn't even say what you were asking for those nights. Here is the chance to get a full answer to that question without having to say it out loud again. In none of these versions of the ending do I ask you to become something impressive. Nothing that was said tonight has ever been about a child who was already whole and just needed 2 frequencies to line up again in the right order. That's the whole lesson. You were never asked to do anything else. Some of you have been carrying a weight in silence for longer than you can remember. How heavy it is to be late. The weight of seeing someone else. Get it instead. The weight of wondering some nights. If you were just born wrong in some way, if other people got something that you didn't, I want you to think of that weight as a real thing. Something you've been holding with both hands the whole time and haven't put down once. Let it fall. Do not move slowly or carefully. Open your hands while you're sitting down and let it fall. You don't have to bring it with you tomorrow morning. You never had the right to keep it. There was always proof that two frequencies were not working in the right order. Also, the weight can't stick to anything else. Now that you know the order, right now, let your shoulders fall. Let your breath out more slowly than it came in. No matter where you are sitting, standing, or lying down, if you were getting ready for something, you don't need to get ready for it anymore. That bracing was the reflex we talked about before. When reflexes are finally seen for what they are, they loosen up. I'm going to say what is true in the clearest and most complete way. I know how. I am the child who was scared but never lost hope. I am the one who is waking up now. I am noticing, being curious, and being open to possibilities again, just like I was before the world taught me otherwise. The channel is opening for me and my hands will finally stay open when something good comes along. Instead of closing around an old reflex that was never really mine, I have been picked. There's no reason for me to be better than anyone else on earth. I was just willing to stop, notice, and receive what was sent to me before I knew how to look for it. I'm back to the way things should be in the way that it was always meant to go. Start with the child first and then the receiver. Both of them at the same time. I'm no longer the one who's always a little late. No longer do I stand at the doorway and watch as someone else walks through first. The season has already changed around me and I'm now walking in tune with that, moving in time with it, not chasing it because that's how I was meant to be. I wasn't picked because I worked harder than anyone else to get it. I was picked because I stopped tonight for long enough for both frequencies to finally talk. I also let them restore in the order they were always meant to be restored in. That's all there is to it. That's enough. Anything in that just made you feel the way it made me feel while I was writing it. Comment sealed right now before you go anywhere else today. And if you can think of someone who has been coming into their own life 1 inch too late for years, send this to them before you end this message. That one action is part of what you are saying about your life right now. It's locked up. It's done. After you leave, please return with me for one more moment to the scene we were in together before. The one where you were offered something good. You didn't expect a number, a door, or a name. And you didn't do anything to turn it down. Wait a second longer than it feels right to hold that picture. Your chest is quiet and your hands are open. You won't have that old reflex of taking the good thing back before you've even had a chance to enjoy it. That was not a dream I made up to make you feel good for an instant. When these two frequencies are put back in the right order, they are already building toward a new version of you. Some of you might have seen everything I said tonight as just a picture, something to think about later. That's fine. Some of you saw something that wasn't a picture at all. Yes, it was recognition. The same recognition we talked about at the start of this message. The pain that only happens around something that was yours before. You already know in your heart which of those two you are. You likely knew you were in the second group a long time before this last part came out. When you finally said the names of both frequencies out loud, you felt calm. Since then, that steadiness hasn't gone away. It's not persuasion at work there. That is your spirit letting you know what it has been trying to say for a long time. It's not hard or secret to find what you need. It's right where we said it would be, below this message in the description and in the pinned comment. Ready for the door. Your spirit is already leaning toward. It doesn't come with a countdown. There never will be, because what's true tonight will still be true in the morning. We'll have to wait another morning, which will be one frequency short of the one we had planned. I'm not going to ask you again. Your spirit has known the answer since the middle of this message, or maybe even before that. Nothing I say now will make that knowing any clearer than it already is. No matter what you do in the next few minutes, remember to bring this much with you. But you were never just unlucky. It was never just that you were too slow. You were two frequencies that were waiting for the right time to play. You now understand what that means. That being said, let me end where I began. You haven't lost something you own 3 times. Now, you caught it the first time because you were awake and open enough to see it before it went by again. That phrase was meant to be there at the beginning of this message. Chosen one. And it's still there at the end. That question is no longer a question. It's just the truth that someone told you all. Before we get to the end of this powerful story, let's reflect on this deep truth. You did not find this message by accident. This is a divine appointment meant specifically for you. You are being invited into a protected, faith-filled community at the link in the description and pinned comment, a place where divine abundance is not just a hope but a promise built on the Word. By heading to the site right now, you are unlocking access to a sacred community of like-minded believers. When you join our membership tiers, you gain immediate entry to powerful content, daily devotions, and divine insights that are hidden from the world. This is your chance to enter a sanctuary where you will receive spiritual guidance, unwavering support on our prayer wall, and speedy progress toward your destiny. Do not let this moment of destiny pass you by. Your breakthrough is waiting. Join our inner circle through the exclusive link in the description. This is how you guarantee you never miss the personalized messages and spiritual warfare tools meant to elevate your life. If you feel called to deepen your connection, the link is waiting for you in both the pinned comment and the description. For those who want to amplify this work and carry the light home, you can find our guided ebooks and Bibles in the pinned comment. Whether you join as a member or sow a seed through our resources, your presence and energy change the world. Take the step. Your abundance awaits.